play fake to Walker. Sam rolls out near side. Throw is made. Touchdown! Seahawks! Jackson Smith-Njigba from 12 yards. Second and 4 from his own 34. McMahon throws intercepted again. It's Tupu. He's inside the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown Seahawks. 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns for the Seahawks. A 34-yard return. Lofa Tupu, welcome to the NFL, baby. 35, he's on the run, Lynch. 40, pushes him at 35. Look at him go. He's down to 20, 15. He could go. He is going to go. Touchdown Seahawks. Oh my word. A 67-yard run.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Hawks Eye podcast. It's a live Seahawks aftermath / post-game reaction show, because I know there were a bunch of you last night. They were expecting a post-game reaction from me. I'll address that right now. Unfortunately, I was coaching at the time, and my game was supposed to be over at 7:30. There was an unfortunate injury to one of the opposing team's players that kind of delayed the game for about an hour and a half, and so we didn't end up wrapping up there until about 9:30. And at that point, I kind of just wanted to come home, decompress, start watching some of the All-22 that had come out potentially on the Seahawks, and get ready for this show tonight. So I figured we'd combine it. So I apologize for anyone that was waiting for it. I did put out a tweet on Twitter, but I forgot to actually delete the link on YouTube. So I apologize to anyone that was waiting. Next time I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. So outside of that, though, obviously disappointing, heartbreaking loss at Lumen on Sunday. Mike, what was your initial reaction to that game from start to finish?
Yeah, I think as a fan, that was probably one of the most enjoyable football games we're going to watch all year. If you love offense, if you love great quarterback play. For me, you know, I'm a Seahawks fan through and through, but college-wise, I'm a big Oklahoma Sooners fan. So, like, it was really cool to watch Baker Mayfield in Seattle dueling against Sam and their buddies, their whole backstory. It's just, I was telling one of my friends, like, that's the game you're going to see 10 years from now on NFL Network for a classics, because that's what it was. That was an absolute duel. That was a really cool game. And I think we learned a lot of good things about the Seattle Seahawks. I think we learned a lot of things about the Seattle Seahawks that we kind of maybe had an idea of, and things that are going to make us a little bit nervous. I definitely, when that game ended, it just was that feeling again of like, damn, just another good team came into Seattle and we couldn't pull out a win. And it just sucks because, like, you know, for those of us that are a little bit older, not even that much older, like Lumen Field, CenturyLink, Seahawks Stadium, that was like a house of horrors for so many people. And so, again, a lot had to go right and wrong for us to be in that game, for the Buccaneers to stay in that game. And so it just was a crazy, crazy game. And so I think, like, the main takeaway is, against these good teams, we're right there with them, right? Like, I've told you, I've been pretty adamant. I think the Buccaneers are a real Super Bowl contender. And I think you saw some of the reasons why. They have an MVP quarterback right now. And then it was really cool to see our guy in Sam Darnold, which I know we're going to talk about, play like an MVP, outplay Baker probably until the final, 2 possessions, give or take. And so, like, that's exciting. It's just, man, I'm just sick and tired of losing at home, to be honest.
Yes, losing at home is becoming a thing. And the thing I'll say, though, between the 49ers loss at home, in my opinion, and this loss at home to the Bucs, this one doesn't sting me as bad as the 49ers game does. And the reason I say that is I think we are a far superior team to the San Francisco 49ers right now when we are healthy. The Bucs game, going in, we had no Spoon, we had no Julian Love, we had no Lawrence. We lose Hall within the first series of the game, our best pass rusher. We lose Reek Woolen, and we have our opinions of Reek, but you saw what happened with the depth. And then you saw, like, yes, this offense can compete and can put up points and, go down the field and go shot for shot with what I consider one of the better offenses in the NFL. Yeah. And yes, we lost, but it doesn't hurt as much. Now, I get the way that we lost kind of sucked at the end. It was unlucky the way that we lost that. Like, that interception is not a, I saw some people on being like, oh, there's typical Sam Darnold again. Sure. It's like the ball went off a dude's helmet. If you watch the trajectory of where he is putting that ball for Cooper Kupp, who was held by Levante David or turned around, that ball is low down for Cooper to go get it. at a point where it's either Cooper or nobody. It deflects and ends up in the linebacker's stomach. And it's just a shitty way for the game to end that way, because you knew at that point they were going to trot it out, kill the clock, kick the field goal, game's going to be over. But his drive leading down the field prior to that, where he hits Horton for that touchdown and gets out of that messy pocket.
99 yards.
Yeah, 99 yards. That is an elite level thing for a quarterback to go down the field in 4 minutes and do those things. And that was always the big question. Can Sam do those against a good coach defense? Yes, they were missing people, but Todd Bowles is a very good defensive coordinator. Sam proved he could do it. The thing for me in this game, and there's a couple different things, I think we saw a little bit to what Mike McDonald's talked about today in his press conference in his 710 show, where you scheme for players. His ability in this game, I think this is one of the very few times I've seen Mike McDonald not be as prepared for if he loses guys. What does the defense then start looking like? When you lose Reek Woolen, when you lose Derek Hall, how are you still going to be able to run your defense the way you want to without sacrificing a bunch of stuff? And we saw that when Pritchett came in the game. And I don't think Pritchett played horribly, especially that one coverage that they scored the touchdown on. It was a terrible defensive call. Like, you had one single high safety basically at that point and no help for Pritchett. Like, it was not a good look. And you saw the depth of Seattle. There are some guys that aren't not ready to step in and just take over the limelight right now, but they're going to have to, because we don't know what this team's going to look like going into Jacksonville with some of the injuries. But overall, to your earlier point, Mike, this is a great game to watch. It was fun. The jersey is absolutely amazing. Like, that is going to go down as the best looking game, I think, in the NFL this year. With
Absolutely. It was gorgeous.
And it was loud. From everyone I've heard that was at the game, it was loud. And, like, you know, on CBS or whatever, they were like, oh, there's so much orange creamsicle. I heard from multiple people it was not that bright, except for the ticket broker section, which is always going to be the area that the camera pans.
The roads are, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not over worried. But, you know, I was listening to Colin Cowherd today on his show, and he was saying that this was the first time he's watched a game in a while where it looked like Manning versus Brady in the level of quarterback.
Yeah.
You had two quarterbacks, 80% completion percentage. Like, Sam was 28 of 34 for 341, 4 TDs, 1 interception. Like, you can't ask your quarterback to play better. You really can't. Like,
yeah,
it was going to come down, and Brock Hewitt tweeted it out on his Twitter, where it was going to be one of those games where it's going to come down to a tipped pick or weird fumble or something that's going to give the other team an extra possession. And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you kind of nailed it, and we'll talk about it here a little bit more. But, like, again, part of the reason why we're, like, in the moment, it just sucked to give that one away, right? Because you're thinking down the road, how is this going to affect you in January? You know, does this keep you from getting there? And does this keep you from having a home playoff game down the road? And obviously that's a little bit early for us to be thinking about that, but that is what JSN, that is what Sam Darnold, that is what, you know, AJ Barner, that is what Gray Zabel and this offense has kind of allowed us to start to think about and get that hope for, which is exciting. But, you know, and you and I have been absolutely all on board with Mike McDonald. But I think, again, you brought up a point. Yeah, he got out coached. It's also tough when you lose all that he lost. Like, I think all of us thought after that Thursday night game, cool, we're going to get Eamon Worry back. We're going to get Love back. We're going to get, you know, like Spoon. He played against Arizona. He's obviously going to be back. And then for all of that to happen, and then you lose Hall, who, like, has had no reward for all of his work, but has generated so much pressure. Can't overstate or understate, sorry, whatever it is, like, how important not having DeMarcus Lawrence out there was. Like, I know he's been more of the run stopper guy, but that's just another guy. Like, we lost, 5 starters right there? And then you add in the way that our linebackers played, you know, overall, which just Baker and is it Gizzard? Is that the OC for Tampa Bay? Like, yeah. They knew exactly what they were going to do, and they did it to a T. And then as Woolen fell out and got hurt, like, what did you expect, right? Like, Emeka Egbuka looks like what JSN is, if you know, starting a year earlier, essentially. Like, Baker Mayfield is literally like the MVP favorite right now. Like, there's no doubt about it in my mind. Like, what did you think was going to happen with our defense? And so, like, yes, you would love your defensive mastermind to be able to plug holes when you have injuries and stuff. But I'm trying to think, like, what defensive coordinator, like Steve Spagnuolo, if you told him right now against the Jaguars, I'm taking away 5 of your starters, like, you're going to think he's going to give up 35 points against the Jaguars. Like, that's just kind of where I'm at on that. And so you need to get healthy, but at the same time, it brings up the point, like, you're not as deep as we maybe thought we were. I think I even wrote about that a couple weeks ago on 4 Down Territory. I said this has the potential of a Super Bowl defense because of the depth. And I talked about cornerback and stuff, but it is so clear right now that we are missing in a few key areas that, man, if guys don't get healthy and we don't have like this knock on wood, perfect healthy season, those warts will come back and keep us either from winning the division, making the playoffs, or we're going somewhere, on the road in the playoffs. But the Tampa thing, the one thing I will say about losing to Tampa, like, again, this is probably way overthinking down the road. I think there's a big difference between going on the road in the playoffs to Detroit, to Green Bay, to Philadelphia, than going to Tampa Bay, right? Like, that is not like the most terrifying road stadium and environment to play in. In Tampa Bay, they've got good fans and stuff, and I would be nervous playing Baker, but I kind of want to go back and play them again, right? Don't you kind of feel if we're healthy and they're healthy, like maybe that still is a 34-31 type of shootout just because of how good the quarterbacks have been playing and just how, like, that just felt like elite offensive football on Sunday.
No, it very much did, and it'll be something we'll definitely talk on a little bit in one of the later segments. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this is I don't think the sky's falling. There's a lot of people that have been out on social media being like, "Oh, this is the Seahawks. They're just going to fall apart." Now it's like, no, like there's some circumstances to why this game. You lost by 3 points on a last-second field goal. Like, really, that's what you lost. You didn't get blown out 38-3. It was 35-35, and you had a quarterback duel. Like, this is what the 90s used to be like. Bledsoe Marino, Favre Elway, like that's what it was, like quarterback duels. And we had a bad bounce go our way. But we'll talk about this in this segment here. What did you the depth was tested. There's cracks showing, Mike. And so how much in your mind did losing Hall and Woolen mid-game and early in the game change McDonald's defensive plan?
Oh, 100%. Like, you could just see we could not generate any edge rush whatsoever. Like, I don't know if this is the show to have the uncomfortable conversation, but like, what is going on with some of these players in a contract year between Woolen and Mafe? Like, where is Mafe been? Right? Mafe, like, it just other than getting that gift from Marvin Harrison, like in the Thursday night game for an interception, like, has there been anything? Like, I'm trying to think of anything that he has, like, it's just, I don't know, where you saw the Karlaftis extension from Kansas City. And what did that lead? That led to like an entire week of, oh, is that what you're going to pay Mafe? Hell no. Like, it's, you take 2 guys in the second round and that's kind of what you've gotten so far. Is it feels like we're not getting anything more from Mafe. Can't go to another level. And that's really disappointing.
The Mafe thing's really interesting. I was going to say though, Mike, to me, there is now a separation between Mafe and Hall.
100%.
You saw it in this game. We've missed Mafe in games in the past, and there's never been that much of a drop-off. Losing Derek Hall in this, you lost your best pass rusher. There was no collapsing of the pocket, really. The only sack we get, they had to blitz D'Anthony Bell, and Chenna has to get it. Like, we're talking about Chenna, who's been injured, has come back and gotten 3 sacks, and Mafe hasn't registered a sack yet this season. How do you justify paying him what a Greg Rousseau or any of these other, B-plus pass rushers are getting? Derek Hall, I think we're going to see over these next couple of weeks. It sounds like from Mike McDonald's press conference, he's not going on IR because of the bye. But the question is now going to be, what does this pass rush look like without Derek Hall in the lineup? Does Mafe find a way to find another gear, or is it Chenna that's going to have to make up for that? Because it sounds like Tank's coming back. But to me now, there is definitely a significant jump between those 2 players.
Yeah, the gap it's now like very clear. You can see it, right? And it sucks for this year, but it's also kind of good to see it. So, not to be cold, that, Seattle, if they wanted to keep Mafe through after this year, they would have done it already. That's kind of where I'm at on the whole thing. And so this does kind of feel like a end of the road after the season. And maybe he turns it on here the rest of the way. I hope I'm wrong. But you look at it, and you need Lawrence back. All right. You need Chenna back. Like those guys are both dudes that are good football players. They're definitely both past their prime. And so maybe they can hold you out for a week or so. Maybe, like you're talking about, you get Hall back after the bye. You don't have to do the IR and stuff, but it's going to take a village. And then the other part is like, you just don't have the type of linebacking core needed to generate the pass rush that you would like to from that end. And so it feels like you're a body missing. You and I have talked about this for months. It definitely, even before the injury, it felt like we were an elite pass rusher short. Those are not easy to find. It takes a lot of work to get one of those guys. And then from the secondary side, like I kind of go back again what I said, like a lot of people are like, see, this is what happened. This is why you can't trade Woolen. Sure. If I lose Spoon and Love and like I'm bringing in slowly Nick Emanworry, yeah, and if I'm going against an MVP quarterback and arguably the hottest wide receiver to enter the league in a couple of years since probably Justin Jefferson, like sure, that's probably when Woolen's not going to look good. You give me all those guys back against Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville or someone else that's not like, again, I'm not saying, oh, this means you don't trade Woolen. I think I took this more as like, yeah, that sucks when you're that basically broken in the back half of your secondary. Yeah. In my mind, it is way more of a serious issue. If you want to survive this tough stretch, you need to figure out your linebacker issues, and you got to find some pass rush help. I'm trying not to be Chris Collinsworth. Pass rush.
My thing that was interesting in yesterday's game, though, for me, Mike, was Byron Murphy obviously graded well. I thought Murphy had a good game. Like I thought he was steady in the middle. What happened to Big Cat? Like that was the first time Big Cat's kind of not been an impact, collapsing the pocket or doing anything really in the interior of that defensive line. And that again makes you wonder how much was Hall's pressure off the edge and how fast
opening
he is
things
and
up,
strong, opening things up for those guys to get after it, because not having Tank and not having Hall, it was on Chenna and Mafe. And I know there's some people right now in the chat that are talking about Connor O'Toole and why didn't he get any run. Connor O'Toole is a special teams guy when they bring him up to give other guys breathers off of specials. Jared Ivey will be the one that'll get pass rushing, things. And that was the other thing. I thought Mike Morris would have had more of a bit of an impact because he would have gotten an increased snap rate. Mike Morris didn't show up again. Like it just seemed that, in my opinion, everything for this defense that could have gone wrong yesterday went wrong. And we saw what happens when this stuff all goes wrong for this defense, because who didn't impress me? I would say actually was probably one of my biggest disappointments in this game was Ernest Jones.
Yeah, and despite what you may believe or don't believe with PFF grades, like the PFF grades agreed. Like that was not a well-played game by Ernest. Probably one of his worst games since he first showed up against the Buffalo game, which was kind of like this is what we traded for. And then right after that, he played like a Pro Bowl caliber player. But again, this is, you might know more than I do. This is a question for Mike McDonald, who specializes with linebackers, is like, how much of that was Ernest not playing well? How much of that was the loss of Lawrence and Hall in front of him? How much of that is him trying to help carry the load with the other linebackers? Like just how much of that is just everything going on? But like I said, that first half, it felt like Baker Mayfield was like, I am picking on that spot of the field right where you are at, and I'm going to make your life a living hell. And it looked like it for at least the first three plus quarters. And in reality, it was probably the majority of the game.
Yeah, their passing offense was very much based on the deep dig routes. Like they wanted to push Okada and Kobe Bryant out with vertical stuff and then run right in behind it with Mbuka and Godwin. And even Cade Otton had significant amount of catches.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Areas.
Yeah.
Like the tight end caused problems for the Seahawks yet again. And it's something that, we saw all too well with the Pete Carroll era was tight ends killing us. And what worried me in this was, imagine, and this is where I was saying, say Bucky Irving had played and was healthy enough. How much scarier I'm not adding Mike Evans back in this conversation, but Bucky Irving was kind of the one we weren't sure about till later on in the week where they finally said, okay, he's out. You add his receiving capability out of the backfield, this game might not have been close. It might have gotten away from Seattle because that's a whole different ball game to add in with Bucky Irving out of the backfield.
Yeah, it's very possible with his, ability just being a much better running back than Rachaad White at this point, is like that 13-0 could have easily been 17-0 or even worse. again, we shot ourselves in the foot allowing that touchdown to happen and stuff. But like, because what do we get? Two actual stops the entire game, and then we
Yeah.
forced 2 field goals. Like, geez, you might take one of those field goals and make it a touchdown, and one of those stops that we got might have ended up being another set of points. And so it could have even been like a 45-35 loss.
I think the biggest thing is they're going to have to really self-evaluate how long these guys are out for injuries. What does this bye week mean coming up? Can they survive the next 2 games with the Jags and Texans, which I believe someone just put in the chat that, yeah, John McGrath, Jags just won the game. They beat the Chiefs. So the Jags are going to be flying high. That's a road trip down to a warm area. We've never really been a great short week, right? You know, because it's going to be, well, it's a full week, I guess.
For them, short week for them is what I'm saying.
Yeah, short week for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mike puts this all together, but we'll have to see if they can kind of super glue some of these cracks back together till the bye week and get guys back healthy. And it sounds positive with Spoon. They said he's going to try and practice. Same with Lawrence, which after what Mike said earlier with the imaging on 710 this morning, it was like, oh, okay, crud, is Spoon going to be out a while? Mm-hmm. It sounds like Julian's hamstring is more significant, though, than I think they initially anticipated, because now it's like, hey, how long is it going to go there? It'll be interesting to see what they do on that end. But let's get into some of these comments here, Mike, before we get on to our next subject here. And we got a couple going on. So K-Soon comes in with, Bryce, how do you think Okada played? I don't think Okada was horrible, and I don't think he was spectacular. I think he is a backup caliber NFL safety that you don't want to see play more than a game or 2 here and there and pinch work for you. I think, yeah, he had some bad plays, and I think he also made some good plays on a couple of pass breakups he had. But I don't want to see Ty Okada as your starting safety for 6 games. That's not what I want to see at all. Like, it's going to be interesting, but I think you'll see more of a mix between him and DeAnthony Bell over the next couple of weeks here, depending on how long Julian loves out. The thing that was interesting to me, Mike, and I was watching this when I was breaking down some of the film, but how often they take Okada and roll him up into the box and leave Kobe as the single high in some of those looks. And I'm going, I would almost do it in reverse. Obviously, Mike McDonald knows his personnel better, but Kobe's always been someone that's been better in the box to me. Like, we started him out as a nickel. He was much better making tackles in there. I'd rather have Ty Okada be the kind of the deep free guy, because I think that's more actually better suited to his skill set. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like it's almost like you're asking Okada to do too much.
Yes,
like
exactly.
He's already going to be like, he is a very good practice squad player, or like you said, a backup safety. Like, he's in that. It's like in baseball, like the 4A type of player, too good for AAA, not quite good enough to get a rotation, in the spot on the big leagues. And that's kind of where Okada is. And he's going to live in there the whole year. And if there's injuries, he's going to be on this roster all year. When healthy, you don't want to see him. And that's not a knock on Okada. That's just how great our secondary can be when it is. And yeah, you nailed it. Like, Kobe Bryant, was so physical as the cornerback at Cincinnati when he was the outside guy with Sauce. Like, you didn't throw on Sauce, so you threw at Kobe, and then you realized you couldn't throw at Kobe, and then they just wanted to stay away from Sauce. And Kobe, like there's a reason why he's playing safety, because he can do a lot of things. And so it make more sense, in my opinion, that you'd bring him down. And maybe that's something that Mike sees as well when he goes back and watches the film.
I wonder, I'm going to throw this out there. I wonder, do you see this happen this week, depending? Do you see potentially Nick Eamon-Wari move back and play a little bit more of the actual traditional safety role, and DeAnthony Bell be the bigger nickel third guy? Or do they rotate that, and when they go big nickel, DeAnthony Bell drops back and Nick goes up? Like, I wonder if we'll see more of Nick Eamon-Wari, because he got through this game. It seemed relatively clean. He came back in after his injury. So it'll be interesting. John McGrath, always good to have John in the chat. Bryce, why don't they play O'Toole or Ivy? Mafe ain't getting the QB, and now Hall and D-Law both out. We need more sacks and blitz more. Why not give someone else a try at the end? So the Ivy O'Toole thing, I think it's going to be an interesting conversation we get later on in this, because me and Mike have our opinions on where that roster spot is going, and it needs to change dramatically going forward for this team. O'Toole's basically been up as a special teams guy to give guys breathers that would normally have to take some of those special teams reps. But I agree. I think Ivy needs to be in the rotation now because Morris proved that he can't necessarily be a factor. Throw Ivy in there and see if you get a little bit more generation of that pass rush in there. You got to find out because Tank may or may not go this week. Hall's definitely not going. It sounds like he was pretty close to going on IR, but the bye saved him. So it'll be interesting, but that'll come up to our segment right after we answer a few more of these. But we'll talk about that, John, for sure. We've got Ian in here, one of our moderators on the chat. Always good to have Ian in. Tough game, but it showed that the offense is coming along. We can go toe-to-toe with good teams. We just need to close them out and make the plays. Yeah, agreed. Like, that's something that's kind of been one of those things we saw it in Arizona. Like, defense kind of had the closeout issues at the end there again, and it leads to a thing I think, Mike, you and me both agree this team needs. John comes back in. This will be a topic we'll discuss, but just saw that Pratt was released by the Raiders. Any chance they bring him in, and does he fit Mike's defense? Pratt's more of a Mike. He's exactly what Ernest Jones is playing now. So, like, I understand everyone's, kind of inclination to jump. Those are two very
different positions. That's the problem.
Especially Mike McDonald's defense. And if you look at what Mike McDonald generally has had as his will linebacker is a smaller, more athletic linebacker. I don't know if Pratt fixed that. Now, I'm all for kicking the tires and seeing if they've got some way of doing it. But also, Pratt being released off of a horrible Raiders team right now that has trouble on defense is not also a great indictment of where his standing is. So let's see what else we got in here. I'd rather be flying in extra, seeing what the defense looked like after Woolen left. I totally understand keeping him till the end of the season. That's fair. That's fair.
Again, I just would say you didn't just lose Woolen. You didn't have Spoon. You didn't have Love, and you lost Woolen. And you lost two of your 4 pass rushers. Like, at some point, you start to look like whatever the worst defense in the NFL is right now. At some point, you start to look like the Baltimore Ravens, right? The Houston Texans have been dog shit the whole year. Can't score any points. They go into Baltimore, and they basically play the Maryland Terrapins, not the Baltimore Ravens, and they drop 40 burger in Baltimore on the Ravens. Like, at some point, enough is enough, and you lose that depth. But I understand if you're like, hey, we saw it, so now I want to keep Woolen. That's fine. I just don't think losing Woolen is what opened the floodgates.
No,
it was all of it combined.
Yeah. It was that final straw that broke the camel's back yesterday is basically what it was. So, Daddy Dennison here. Baker mixing up with the 12s before the game. Yeah, no, I love Baker Mayfield for that. Like, that's one thing you got to give Baker credit. He won't shy away from anybody. So,
Oklahoma.
Good old Oklahoma. Let's kind of get to the next thing here, Mike. So, no closer in sight. And we're not referencing baseball here, unfortunately, even though the Mariners did win, which was awesome. So
let's go
for game 3. But we have no finishing on the pass rush. And it's something that the chat kind of brought up there too. Like, 1 sack, which was a Bell and Nwosu blitz combo, basically. You had 5 pressures on 37 dropbacks. That's only a 13% pressure rate. That's not nearly good enough. Like, we're talking about, without Lawrence, without Hall, kind of there isn't a closer on Seattle's roster. I think the conversation needs to be had now, Mike. They need to go get somebody.
Yeah, I think that's something that we knew in training camp. I think we knew it this summer, right? Like, who's been that annoying person that's been bugging you all summer long about trading for Trey Hendrickson? This guy. Like, I wrote about it. Like, again, you knew Cincinnati was going to figure something out, at least for this season, right? They had all their eggs in this basket with all the extensions they made, and then what happens? Joe Burrow has this really bad toe injury that's probably going to cost him the season, because since his injury, the Bengals have looked just like an absolute train wreck, right? And I think Hendrickson is playing well, probably not as good as he has in the last 2 years, but with everything that team has lost and just going through right now, like, you just kind of wonder, does one more loss or does it take 2 more losses for them to realize, oh, like, even if Joe Burrow comes back, our season's done, right? Like, that's an edge rusher I'm looking for. I'm looking at other teams that basically are so much in the dumps that you can go out and go have a conversation about. Again, this is a very expensive player, but if you want to have a conversation about Bradley Chubb of the Miami Dolphins, you can have that conversation if you want to, right? Like the Dolphins have hit their absolute low after losing to the Panthers. They're now 1-4. Sounds like the owner's about ready to fire McDaniels. So we'll see what happens there. The Baltimore Ravens, they're about as low as we've seen this franchise in 25 years. Is there anybody over there that Mike McDonald wants to try and get John on, to get, the Ravens on the phone to bring over? Like this, that's where I'm at. Like the odds of getting Trey Hendrickson are pretty low because there's probably a few other teams that have, I don't say there's a few other teams that feel like they have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl, but like their record might show that, or they might be more desperate. Whereas I still feel like we're a team on the ascension. And so like, it's not exactly, this isn't the moment that you have to go all in on a pass rusher. Like this isn't, we didn't fit the mold of going after a Micah Parsons if that was a fit, right? But that doesn't mean you can't go get a guy that can potentially be the closer for you, because that could be the difference in winning the division or maybe even missing the playoffs, right? Like it's going to be very close. And so I think those are some of those guys you got to look out for of like, what would it cost to even be on the phone with Cincinnati? I know the money's a big thing, but what would it cost to add a Bradley Chubb to this team? Like, what would it cost to, see, I don't know, whatever Baltimore has. Like, I just feel like you've seen enough from this offense that we're gonna talk about, like that it's almost worth making the investment.
So the one name that I kind of keep coming back to is if Seattle's going to make a trade, and I feel like they don't want to go for, to your point, they may not go in on Hendrickson just due to age and some of the other things. The one name, and I'm going to, give credit where credit's due, Brian Nimhauser brought it up on Hawk Blogger. I think Thibodeau could be an option for Seattle on that Giants team. They just drafted Carter.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, man, that'd be a move.
That would be, I don't think he's going to be in their long-term plans. I think that's something that you get a young pass rusher that still, maybe he hasn't hit to the level, but he comes in and I think he is probably close to already the level Maffei's at, but can probably give you a higher ceiling. And I think Thibodeau could be an interesting one, that if you're going to do it, like, I don't think Seattle, if their whole thing is about going and trying to get into the playoffs and win the division and do it, you don't have the horses in your pass rush right now to do that. You're creating pressure. Yes, that is great. But when you play the better quarterbacks in the NFL that can escape pressure, they can still dice you up down the field. And Baker proved that. Like, yes, I get Hall went out, but Big Cat was still there. Byron Murphy was still there. Maffei was still there. Like, you could still create some of the pressure. Baker still got away from it and was able to still throw for the yardage he did, an 80% completion game from Baker Mayfield. Like, you need somebody else to add to this rotation that's actually going to have impact, because you're going to see what life's like without Hall now. Like, you're going to, regardless if you want to, you're going to see what it's like. I don't think you can turn around and be like, okay, cool, Tank, we need you to start doing the same thing Derek Hall was doing for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Like, that's not what you brought Tank Lawrence in here to do. So that's at least my second question. Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, so the Giants play on Thursday night against the Eagles, right? Probably a good time for the Eagles to get their stuff figured out. You win that game, the Giants are then what, 1-5 at that point?
Yes.
And is Thibodeau, is he a free agent after this season?
I think he's maybe. I think he is, yeah.
Because if he's a free agent after this season, it's going to probably cost you they're probably going to ask for a second, right? Still, maybe it's a third.
Like
if it's a third, I jump all over it. But I feel like so many other teams would jump all over a third unless they're concerned about character stuff. But like, I feel like after his rookie year, you haven't heard much about any of the character issues. But also, the Giants have been kind of irrelevant during his time there.
Yeah,
but he's a good football player. Like I'm not trying to compare it, but like, it's one of those things where it's in the realm where it feels like, man, like, what if you got Marshawn Lynch out of Buffalo? It feels kind of like, what if you got Thibodeau out of that shithole and kind of got him over to Seattle? It'd be interesting.
I don't know if they picked up his 5th-year option. I'm just looking.
I thought they didn't.
If they didn't, then he's a free. Let's see. So it's got him here 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. and then base salary in 2026 it says is $14 million. So that would be his 5th year.
Okay, so if they did that, then like they're going to
But he
ask
has
for
no
at
prorated
least a
signing
second.
bonus, no roster bonus, no nothing. But yeah, so
They might ask for more than a second then for a year and a half of Thibodeau.
yeah, but you're getting a 20 at that point. If you trade it for him, he's 25 right now.
So what is that? Is that a second and a 5th? Is that a second and a 4th? Like
Maybe is it a second?
would you give it? Yeah.
I don't know because they only have
It's
6
interesting.
picks,
It's very
right?
interesting.
It's an interesting one to look at, and I think it's one that the Seahawks should explore because if you look at him, I think he is someone more capable of justifying potentially paying some more money. Like if you're going to pay a contract instead of Mafe, Thibodeau has a higher pass rushing upside to him than Mafe, in my opinion. I know he may not have the production, but you look at the player that he was coming out, and it'll be interesting. But my second question, Mike, I want to ask you in this kind of topic is, can this team survive relying on Mike trying to generate pressure from DB blitzes?
No, because I mean, sure, like the blitz that they hit on into sack Baker in the 4th quarter to force that punt, that was massive, right? Like that felt like the swing moment of the game that they were able to kind of get the ball back. And again, 99 yards later, we ended up taking the lead, and it felt like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. You don't want to rely on that. That's like almost, it's not a sign of desperation, but like it's a sign of like, I'm getting beat. I need to pull out a card that I don't always use, right? Just like any other defensive coordinator, Mike is the same way. If I can generate pressure with my front 4, then I can cook. Even if I don't have my best DBs out there, right? I can figure out a way. You had a little bit less pressure than normal on Sunday, and your cornerbacks were a bit worse, a chunk worse than they've been, and that's what led that recipe of disaster, right? It's what we saw last year in Detroit on Monday Night Football, right? Would we give up like 400 points to the Lions that night? And we were banged up as well there too. You got to get like it is. I think it's so important that you get DeMarcus Lawrence back on Sunday. I really do. I think you have to get him back unless Boye Mafe is ready to like step up in this moment.
And I wouldn't bank on Boye Mafe stepping up in this point. Run defense, fine. Pass rushing, not a chance. Like we haven't seen it, and that's where I think with this conversation, if Boye Mafe had 4 sacks right now or 3.5 sacks right now, I think the conversation on do we need to trade for a pass rusher is a little bit different. But the fact we have nothing in the pass rushing sacks have come from Big Cat, Byron Murphy, and Chenna. Like Chenna has basically 3 sacks in 2 games. Like that's
Yeah, you know, and I just started looking at the college stuff, and you know, I'm just like everyone else. It's a rough looking class, right? Like it's not looking like you're going to find a whole lot of blue chip superstars. Again, maybe we're wrong. We get surprised, and I think you and I both think this is a team that's going to be picking in the 20s, right, in the draft. That's probably where we're looking at and stuff. Like the odds of finding a premier pass rusher right there is pretty tough. So maybe that does make John and Mike a little bit more aggressive of like, hey, who in the draft class and who in free agency is going to come to Seattle that is going to be a better player than if we go slightly overpay and see if we can unlock Kayvon Thibodeau, right? Like who's a better player in this class? And I so far do not see that guy that's going to be better than what Thibodeau could be.
Mookie comes in. I'll start false rumors about Ruben Bain Jr. in order to get him to fall into the 20s. Go for it, Mookie. Be our guest.
Yeah. Something Miami related. It won't be hard.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. The thing for me though, like if I'm looking at that, it's very much like what the Leonard Williams situation was, where Mike's, talked in the past when they made those trades and giving up draft capital. Oh, I throw that guy's name on the draft board so it doesn't seem as daunting that we lost. Like Jimmy Graham at the time that they did make that trade. Hear me out before everyone, gets after me for it. But you throw him on the board at a first round pick value compared to other players at that time.
Yes.
Jimmy Graham doesn't seem so bad at that time if that's what you're looking at. But that's where I look at a guy like Thibodeau and go, okay, is there anyone in this edge class group consistently outside the number one guy that is better than a Kayvon Thibodeau right now? I don't know if there is one this year. So is it better to go get Kayvon Thibodeau, or is it better to sit back and hope for the draft? Like, you got to kind of pick your poison, basically, is what it is at that point. So we'll see,
second and a fourth right now. Do you do it? Second and a fourth for Thibodeau.
Are they both in the 2026 draft class?
Yes. So you would have a very small class as of right now.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm interested in what the chat would say on that. So 2026 second and fourth for Kayvon Thibodeau.
Can you get him for all of this year and all of next year?
I would probably do that. If I believe where the Seahawks are going, I make that trade.
I think because of who we have at quarterback right now, I think I'm leaning like 60-40 yes, which is I'm normally a bit more conservative about my picks.
Mookie brings this up. He goes, I also don't think Kayvon is worth a second based on productivity.
Right. And that's great. I guess it's just the question of do you feel that you can unlock the talent, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that's and if there's someone I'd bet on, it'd be Mike McDonald to unlock that.
But he did make this point. He goes, I'd rather have a pass rusher with higher upside like Kayvon than someone who might be damaged goods like Chubb or older. No,
right.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on to our next topic. Speaking of who that quarterback is, Sam
Let's
Darnold.
go.
Is he now a legit, in your opinion, Mike, is he a legit top 10
Yes.
NFL quarterback?
Yes, without a doubt. I think you've seen 20 games now in a row of just really strong play. And yeah, the division title game in Detroit was not pretty. And I've been pretty adamant. I don't put a ton of blame on Sam Darnold for what happened in that wild card game against the Rams. If you and I got sacked 9 times, it'd be really hard for us to do a lot of stuff. Did he make mistakes in that game? For sure. Yes. But I think you take those 2 games away, and I even think that we're seeing a better version of Sam here in Seattle than what we even saw last year in Minnesota. And that was a guy that finished 10th in MVP voting, right? Just something about him and Clint Kubiak clicks. There is something about him and our tight ends that click. There's something about him and JSN that absolutely clicks. And you just again, it's just all this is starting to come together, and you just have, gosh, I'm seeing that Rose Bowl version of Sam Darnold. Like, man, he's got some good mobility. Man, when he wants to let it go, he lets it go like Josh Allen level talent, right? But also now you're seeing this calm poise in the pocket, not getting flustered. That 4th and 2 play is going to be on like all of his highlight reels for the rest of eternity with his plays. Like, he just has no fear. He just is so calm and composed. And it just sucks that 75% of his turnovers this year have been the most freakiest, weirdest, like out of the blue plays, because you take those things away, we're undefeated, and he is the unquestioned MVP favorite, right? Like, it's unquestioned. You take the butt fumble away, you take, again, sure, whatever. Like, if Nick Bosa pushes Abraham Lucas 8 feet right into as you're throwing the ball, like, that sucks. Okay. You bounce it off the helmet and it takes that trajectory. That sucks. That stupid 4th and 1 play, like, you take those away. Like, yeah, that's gonna, he is the guy. And like you say, not in crunch time. What do you say about what happened in Arizona? Right? Like, what do you say about what he did in the second half in Pittsburgh? Like, people are talking about like, oh, he's not good in crunch time. Like, he was amazing in crunch time last year. He's been good in crunch time this year. It's like the 2 most freakiest plays I've seen in Seahawks football in the last 2 or 3 years, and it just happens to be at the worst moment.
I don't know how you don't like, and where is it here? WD Ford, he'll always have something to prove until he doesn't. Well, the thing that I kind of look at is, what is that going to take for people to like really look at Sam Darnold now and kind of go, yeah, like he is like so currently in the NFL, who are the 9 quarterbacks that are better than him right now in your mind? Like, who are you putting on your top 10 list?
Josh, Lamar. They're all healthy. Josh, Lamar, Mahomes. I think, who am I looking at here? I mean, if you want to have
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow and healthy. Like, for all the people that want to talk about like Justin Herbert, what have you seen the last 2 games? It's taken away a lot of what you've seen before. But if you want to go Herbert, I'll give Hurts. If you want to say Goff, I can kind of get behind it, even though I think he plays on an all-star team. Like I would take Sam over Love. Baker. Like Baker's right there with him. I think they're in that same realm. I would have Baker in the top, probably like at 6 right there. Like I think he's like the 8th or 9th best quarterback in football right now. And like I think he's in that Baker, that Dak range. Like I think he's in that, man, this guy is really, really good. We're just waiting to see them finally get to that next step, which is basically playing for a conference championship, right? Is that what it is? It's winning the division title, winning 1 or 2 playoff games. I think that's kind of what people want to see is like Baker's won 2 playoff games, but then he's lost in the divisional round both times. Like that, a legit franchise quarterback is someone that you believe can go win a divisional playoff game and get you to conference championships. That's like one way I would describe it. If that makes sense.
And I look at the comment about the clutch thing, and I'm like, what didn't he do in this game? He had a fluke interception occur with 52 seconds left after he had just taken the team 99 yards and got out of a sack and threw a touchdown strike to Torrey Horton. Like, what more do you throw for over 80 yards? Like a bad interception will happen to any quarterback. Like, do we turn around and we look at some of those Josh Allen losses in the AFC Championship and goes, Josh isn't great because he couldn't win the game in the clutch? Like, no, you don't. You go and look, hey, you know what? He got beat. He had a fluke happen, whatever it may be. Like, I'm not here saying Sam Darnold is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. Right. I'm saying he has now entered the top 10 current NFL quarterbacks in 2025. He is one of the guys. I guarantee you a team is going. I bet you the Raiders right now, in some aspect, are probably kicking themselves after Tom Brady axed the idea of not getting Sam Darnold and going in the direction they went with. Like, and 100%. I'm not trying to take a shot here at Gino, but I'm just stating the facts that Sam has come in. He's had 3 interceptions. Every single one of them, or actually, sorry, 2 of the 3 interceptions have been extremely odd.
Rare.
The weird, dumb play call by Kubiak in Pittsburgh and this deflection off the helmet. The one that he threw with Jalen Ramsey is still a very good corner, and he misjudged it and threw it. Okay, 1 bad pick this year on Sam Darnold.
Yep.
I'm sorry, though. I'm not going to sit here and go, Sam's not clutch. Sam's not this. Like, Sam has proven in the Arizona game, went right down the field in 40 seconds to set up a game-winning field goal. Right down the field. Like bang, bang. And not with, like, dink and dunks and we're burning timeouts. Like, taking a shot down the sidelines on a back shoulder throw to JSN. Yeah. Like, even in the game going down against the Bucks in this one for 99 yards. Like, he is taking shot plays in that process. So, no, I think the conversation is Sam is now in that legit top 10 NFL quarterbacks this year, 2025. 100% he is. The other question I'm going to ask you here, Mike, is does he look like the long-term answer now, or is he getting closer to looking like the long-term answer now in this system with Clint Kubiak?
I stand by what I said last week, right? Like Sam could win the MVP this year. You still play out the entire year. And then in the offseason, you have those contracts. I think that you saw it on Sunday, right? You saw where Sam is and you saw where Baker Mayfield has gotten to and is going. And I stand by what I said. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get healthy, I think that team's got a great shot to go to the Super Bowl. I really do. Like, I think just a lot of it's coming together for them, while some other things are not going together for the people. They're dealing with so many injuries, and for them to be 4-1, like, look out, right? And there's just it's eerie the amount of similarities between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield in this flow. Even the contract is very similar, right? Like. And so I just think you follow this path and you keep building. Like, I think it's fine to start having conversations, but I don't think you'll see anything happen until the offseason. But Seattle and Schneider and Mike believed in him enough to give him the contract that they did. That essentially was a 1.5-year contract, right? That's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And Baker proved after about 8 or 9 games, oh, he's real. It looks like Sam has proved to us after 5 games that, oh my gosh, like, this is awesome. You still want to see it all the way through. I want to see him in the playoffs this year, right? And I want to see him helping the Seahawks win a playoff game. Like, again, he's having an amazing start. I am all for an extension after the year. I just want to see this all the way through, right? Defenses are going to now start to counter us. Now we have to counter. I just want to see how that chess moves happen. But you can't watch that. Like, statistically, he is the best quarterback in the NFL so far this season, right? Like, by all measures, efficiency, all those things, like, he looks like the best quarterback. And if it's not him, it's him and Baker. And you saw, whoever watched that game last night or yesterday, like, until there was a minute left in that game, you couldn't have sat there and told me that one quarterback was better than the other. And that is what you want to hear. Your guy went up against Baker, who's playing like the MVP, and went toe to freaking toe with him. That opens so many more doors. And that is what should be the biggest takeaway from this game, is that, the window might be open because of what we've just stumbled upon. Because a franchise quarterback in free agency at this price, at that age, where he might still have 10 years of really good quarterback play, like, it's just rare. And that's because of how toxic and horrific his like birth into the NFL was. And you just found the right guy at the right time, potentially. It's like, again, I made a comment earlier. You might have stumbled on kind of just that Marshawn Lynch type of thing where you just get lucky and find the right guy at the right time, and he completely changes your franchise.
And that's a really good way to look at it. And the thing I'll say is, some people, some people are saying, oh, well, he had the interception just like Geno did at the end of the game. That ball was deflected. It was the right read. It wasn't like Cooper Kupp was surrounded by three guys and he's fitting it in this stupidly tight window. It was the right read. The ball got deflected off a helmet and went at the right angle. Like, the things that had to happen in that scenario for that to happen. And we're not talking about just throwing the ball up in the end zone versus the Rams with pressure in my face that goes for 6 the other way.
Yeah.
Like,
and was that yeah. Was that Levante David that picked it off?
Yes.
You're talking about 2 of his interceptions this year are against 2 guys that are probably going to get into the Hall of Fame at some point. Just also putting that out there. Like, Jalen Ramsey's going to go into the Hall of Fame, and Levante David might end up in the Hall of Fame as well. Like, the numbers are there. Like, again, it just freaky things and great players making great plays. Like, and that is what has cost us from being 5-0.
Agreed. So let's talk about the offense as a whole here, Mike. So in this game, they were 7-12 on third down. Like, we saw them play quite well. They've got, JSN over 132 yards. Again, Cooper Kupp became a viable second option in that offense. AJ Barner is becoming quite the tight end for us down there. He, as Mookie and me were discussing in the preseason, the offseason, he is, in my version, John Carlson 2.0. He moves and does so many things that John Carlson used to do for Seattle. Ken Walker looked good in the run game, averaged 8 yards a carry, 10 for 86. Like, that's like, and that was the thing going into this game. I kept saying, like, how is the interior of this offensive line going to handle Vita Vea? You barely heard Vita Vea or Greg Gaines' names called. Like, Kubiak and John Bettman had such a good run game plan. And I will say this, for all the people that want to bash Anthony Bradford, you can tell what healthy Anthony Bradford versus non-healthy Anthony Bradford look like. He was clearly hampered in Arizona drastically because he looked a hell of a lot better in this game. And again, Seattle didn't give up a sack, not one sack. Yes, Sam got out of one, but they did not give up a sack statistically. And Sundell actually played, I thought, a good game. The whole Sundell legally downfield was an interesting concept to me because the Bucs did a similar play.
I was going to say, if you're going to call that on Sundell, you got to call it on the other one, on Tampa. If you're not going to call there, then you can't call it on Sundell. And that was a legit, what is that? I mean, it led the next play, or I want to say that lead to a punt? Or was that the pitch shortly after? I'm trying to remember.
No,
but
it was the punt.
It was a swing. Like, like Kenneth Walker got a first down on that play, right? You probably go down there and score points, and you're winning 7-6 or 7-3, whatever it is at that point. If that play doesn't get called, and then if Tampa Bay gets that play called on them, they might have had to punt. They were far enough out of there. They might have had to punt even with their kickers' leg strength.
So here's a question I got for you, Mike. Was this the most balanced offensive game this season that we've seen?
Yeah, I think so. I think because the Saints game was good, but a lot of that was special teams domination, right? Which, side note, our special teams was really good again, minus the Myers missed field goal. Like, Derek Young was an absolute stud on Sunday. But, like, I think looking at this offense, it was everything we thought we would see, right? A lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. This team has believed in A.J. Barner for a while, and we saw it. Right, you're seeing the evolution. You're seeing him take a step. JSN showed, hey, I'm an alpha. Right, Sam Darnold is absolutely cooking. This offensive line has completely transformed with Zabel. Yes, he had the holding call, but again, like, our tackles are playing much better because the interior is playing better. It's all coming together, and then it allowed us to have what I think is a very encouraging thing. You got to see Kenneth Walker do what Kenneth Walker does best. Like it was perfectly timed bounces to the outside, right? And when he had to go inside, he was aggressive. And then when we got towards the red zone and started making our way in, that's when Charbonnet got those inside carries and looked like the battering ram that he was. I thought Charbonnet and K9 very perfectly complemented each other on Sunday. And again, like, moving forward, yes, the Buccaneers were dealing with injuries. If you take away the special teams points that team has given up this year, which is a chunk, that was a top 10 scoring defensive unit, and you drop 35 points on them, and you're a freak play away from dropping 38 on them and winning that game. Like, very, very encouraging. Kubiak and this team, you and I talked about it, survive the first couple weeks. The offense, if they can click, this is a playoff team. Well, now it feels like they survived, and yes, a couple of goofy, weird mistakes have happened, but that offense looks like a top 5 unit, which means the sky is the limit now.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I look. Like, they're starting to come together finally, and you're starting to see how they marry the run and the pass together, which is, in my opinion, so good. Like, that's what they've been needing to do all season, and we haven't been able to see it. Like, we get it 1 week with the run game, then we kind of the pass game's there, but it's not fully. But it's interesting. Now, the other question I got for you is JSN a top 5 NFL receiver, or is he getting into that range?
He's getting into that range. But again, it's kind of like the Sam Darnold conversation. Like, right now in 2025, numbers wise, is this guy a top 10 quarterback? Hell yeah. Like, it's not even close. Now, narrative wise, that's where things get a little bit weird, and you can create your own story. JSN, he's playing right now as a top 5 wide receiver, right? But so is Emeka Egbuka. And I don't think anyone's going to say he's a top 5 wide receiver right now, but narrative-wise, I guess it doesn't really matter. He's playing like a top 5 wide receiver right now. Outside, inside, moving the chain, scoring touchdowns, showing up on 3rd and goal, helping you get those bookend touchdowns, right? Like, again, I don't think that throw gets talked enough about because there were so many amazing plays by everyone on Sunday. That 3rd and goal with 9 seconds to go, when Sam Darnold threw it basically through 3 Buccaneers, and JSN ran that route perfectly. Like, that was so beautiful. That was so gorgeous. That's the type of thing that, like, again, I say it, like, the sky is the limit, because all of a sudden it feels like you have multiple blue chips on offense, when I don't think going into the season we thought we had any blue chip players on offense. Did you?
Honestly, the only relatively discussion of a blue chip player I felt you could have is if he was healthy is maybe K9. Maybe
right.
K9 would be the
because
only
of his
one,
home run, his home run ability.
Exactly. That was the only one. But other than that, no, not really. And now you're talking about potentially having 3.
Yeah.
And that's not including you're talking about your offensive linemen, because I think Charles Cross and Abe Lucas can be in that conversation. And who knows, a year or two, Gray Zabel may be in that conversation. So it's very interesting to see that now this offense we know can actually go blow for blow with somebody. Now, the other thing is, how great was it to see a offensive coordinator figure out how to get Derek Young involved in the offense?
Oh, gosh. Man, it's so crazy seeing him like healthy and like back on TV, just how big and how athletic and just like what a specimen he really is. You get that guy in open space, good things happen. And it just goes back again, like, this offense is great. This defense, when healthy, is going to be great. This special teams, if Jason Myers can, figure out his 1 missed field goal a game, if he can figure that out, this is going to be the best special teams unit in the NFL, because it feels like every other possession that we give up a score, we're getting the ball at midfield. Like it, and then even our kickoff teams, like Holani, I can't remember who he hit, but I feel like he sent that guy literally to like Missoula, Montana. That's how hard he hit him. That I can't remember who he hit, but like I don't feel like we're giving up a lot of returns. Our punt game is okay. Like at worst, it's very good at best. Like but we're also not punting a whole lot. Again, it's just like if Jason Myers could make some of these field goals, I don't even think he's been bad. But yeah, it sucks. The 44-yard field goal, you can't miss that in that game.
Myers to me he makes the big long ones, but then when it comes up to those inside the 50 where it should be a chip shot, it should be nice and easy for a guy that's making the money he somehow always seems to pull one or two at a crucial point in a game against someone that we're going to need it against. But let's talk about kind of the one thing with this offense that just isn't working. And that is the Milroe package meltdown.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that's had 3 plays, and he has got 3 yards on 3 carries. And 2 of those carries, he has 0 yards. This, to me, is just like Mike McDonald talked about it today in his press conference that, we got these cool things. Like, stop trying to force something that is not there. You've constantly, every time they have put Jalen Milroe on the field in a sub package, is killed an offensive drive. You use those things to spark an offense. You don't use them to stall an offense. And that is what they have been every time they've used them this year. It has stalled an offensive drive. Sam Darnold does not need Jalen Milroe to come on the field and take him out of the rhythm he's in, whether it's throwing the ball, whether you got the run game going with Walker and Charbonnet, and put Jalen Milroe in when teams know you're not going to let him throw the damn ball, so they know it's going to be some sort of weird run variation of a play, whether it's this option they decided to do, which, my God, the play, what happens if Walker even gets that ball? He's maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage. Like, it did not offer you anything. Like, there is nothing that, again, I have said it from day one, if you're going to put Milroe in, it's tush push in the goal line area, where you're running read option at the goal line with K9 and Charbonnet or Oots in the backfield, and you're running it, and that's it. That is all you're doing with Jalen Milroe. Stop trying to come up with these crazy cool ways. Like, we're not going to use him like Taysom Hill. You are, because you're using him in gimmick setups. Nothing about when they walk him out there does it look like a normal offensive play. It looks like, they're going with Jalen.
It is very clear to me that Kubiak and Mike McDonald have never played Madden or have played college football EA 25 or 26 or 14 back in the day, right? Like, it's very clear you have a mobile quarterback in there. Like, just you don't need to overthink it. Like, I've never understood. Everyone thinks he's going to get the ball. That's when you give the ball to K9 in that read option, right? That's when K9 goes and gets yards. You do that a couple times. That's when you can pull it. But again, it goes back to the point. I feel like as much flowers as you and I have given Kubiak, very disrespectful of Sam Darnold and what they were doing, because like you said, it is a complete vibe kill. It just completely changes everything. The announcers are kind of weird about it. It feels weird. Like, they're even kind of caught off guard every time he's been on the field. Like, if even the announcers are talking about it, like, you can feel it. And then you have the worst possible scenario there, like where a rookie apparently looks like he's never pitched a football in his life, which if you watch him at Alabama, he's done that a few times. But again, you asked him to go to his left and pitch with his left. He missed K9 by like 2 yards. K9 did his best to even get his hand on that thing. And you turn the ball over there. At worst, that was 3 points you gave up. And then
it was
they
a
go
10-point
right
swing,
down.
Mike.
A 10-point swing in a game that you
couldn't afford
you lost by. And it goes back even in the Niners game. I hate to keep going back to it. That killed that drive. And that killed you getting at least 3 points. If you get 3 points there, you don't need to score a touchdown. You need to kick a field goal to beat the 49ers. Now, does that completely change the game? Maybe. But like, it changes everything. And I feel bad for Milroe, right? I feel bad for him because he's being put into a situation where you said it, all 11 guys on the other side know he's either going to get the ball and we're going to smear him, or he's going to do something with probably K9, because we don't think he's going to throw the football yet. And it's been proven true 3 straight times. So you got to admit, like, our offense is good enough without Milroe. We don't need him. You can win playoff games without Milroe. You don't need him. You don't even need him for the tush push, because A.J. Barner looks like he's perfectly fitted and wants to do that. Like, it just, and again, that what you just got there, like I hope he's just being polite, right? I hope it's just some gamesmanship where he's like, yeah, I don't want to hurt Milrow's feelings. Like, we got to make a change.
Well, and that's the thing for me. Like, as a coach myself, like, I'm not inserting a gadget player when my offense is turning out yards and we're establishing and we're going and we're making first down. Like, my QB's in a rhythm, my O-line's in a rhythm with the run game. Why am I going to now insert this? Because when you do that, the one thing that happens, especially when it's not like, okay, Jalen, you're starting this drive. We're going to run some normal offense down the field. Then we're going to put in the cool little gadget play here at this second, because now we've got the defense accustomed to you actually being on the field in normal run offense. Instead, no, we're going to put Jalen out there and keep Sam out there, and we're going to run a speed option to the left side. Like, what? What are you doing? Like, it literally feels like we have this cool toy and we really like it. And it's like, we're going to put our other toy that we're really comfortable with, and it's our favorite toy, the Sam Darnold offense, on the shelf because we got this really cool toy we want to play with, even though the other toy is just as good at doing what it's doing. And it's just, it makes no sense. There has never been a point where I've looked at any of the Jalen Milrow plays and gone, yeah, I've seen them do that exact same formation with Sam Darnold in the game. Like,
right,
never.
Exactly. It's also one of those things. I was going to say, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, Milrow makes sense if this was like an 8-9, 9-8, like you're just trying to hang in there type of a team that like can't move the ball, is really struggling on offense. But like, and you're looking for a spark, dude, we're on fire. Like, it's a freaking bonfire in Seattle right now, and you're literally like bringing a fire extinguisher over. Like, oh no, hang on, we gotta clear out the fire because we need Milrow to run it 3 yards into a cloud of dust. Like, it's just, it makes no sense to me.
Your positive in the New Orleans game was you were killing them, and they were such a bad team. But in both games that you have lost, there has been a Milrow play involved.
Yes, that has cost the offense points on the opponent's side of the field.
Yep.
And games that you've lost by 3 and by combined 7 points. Like,
exactly.
You just don't know what the damage it can do. And now you do know in these last 2 games, these 2 losses. Like, I can specifically point to like how there was a swing there, and I hope that Kubiak and McDonald acknowledge that internally going forward.
Exactly. Like, and here's the other point of this Milrow package that we haven't even touched on yet, and we're going to right now. People are talking about, well, why isn't Jared Ivey dressing? Why didn't Shaq dress?
Yes,
you are designating one of your roster spots to Jalen Milrow, and you cannot dress Jared Ivey for a turnover, basically, in a game. Instead of making him the emergency third string, which he can still dress, he can just not enter the game unless Drew Lock and Sam Darnold are both designated out and injured and cannot play. Then he can enter the game. But that is where they're getting in trouble, is you are putting Milrow on your active 53 or 46 or whatever on game day. And now you saw, like, to be honest, Milrow not being your emergency third in this game cost you a set of points, a 10-point swing, and the inability to have Shaquille Griffin or Jared Ivey dress in case of an injury to an already depleted defense.
100%. I don't know how, and again, I think you and I are big Mike McDonald guys. We're big believers in him. But I don't know how you go into that game with no Woolen, no Love, Eamon Worry coming back from an injury, and you're not like, all right, hey, sorry, Jalen Milrow, I don't think you're going to change the game for us here. So, like, I need another DB that's a veteran that can be in there, like, just to get some snaps even. No Woolen, no Love, and you don't know what you have with Eamon Worry. Like, it makes no sense to me unless what they're seeing is basically like Shaq's good for the building morale and like the culture, but like he can't play anymore, which that might be the case. But it didn't. I think you were a little bit higher than I was on Nehemiah Pritchett. There's some people that were pissed off that he was even on the roster today.
Agreed. And I think you listen to Mike talk about Nehemiah Pritchett today, and that whole situation is something I think that, he even said he's just got to play better in the game because he's showing well in practice. So these guys do see them all the time. But the thing I'll say, and I think Brian brought it up here, have to have the third QB active. If he is the emergency designate, Brian, he actually doesn't count against your roster total. So that's where you can have him on your roster, and you can put him in as the emergency third string, and he doesn't count to your total player number because he can only step on the field in case of those injuries. So that's what Jalen Milroe, in my opinion, should be the rest of the year. You want to have him there on the sideline? He is the emergency third string quarterback because there's no need right now to spark an offense with a trick package play, whatever, when the offense has been humming along just fine to the point it stalls it out. Scrap the Milroe package. You putting the kid in a bad spot. Let him develop. That is what he is here to do. Let him develop as a quarterback, which is what you kept saying in the offseason. Jalen is going to be a quarterback.
Yes.
Then stop trying to Taysom Hill him because you kept saying in the offseason, well, he's not Taysom Hill, but you're using him in the same damn way in some respects that you use Taysom Hill. Oh, yeah, we'll just randomly insert him in these random plays. So, anyhow, that's my take on the whole Milroe thing. I love Jalen Milroe. Great kid. I want to see done right by him. Stop putting him in bad situations and hurting the whole team.
Yes.
All right, so next segment here. It's not a collapse. It's a wake-up call. So we're 3-2. We're in the second in the NFC West currently. 30 points per game right now is roughly where we're at. I think it's 29.8 or something, which I don't think any of us thought was coming. That's fourth in the NFC. They have one of the top 8 overall offenses, and right now the defense is kind of hovering in that top 10 range ish. You got the Jags and you got the Texans coming up. Jags won tonight. Jags look like a good football team. How much can they rely on this offense to split the next 2 games or win the next 2 games while this defense heals up, Mike?
Well, you're talking about getting another opportunity against a great team again, right? Or a good team. I won't say the Jags are a great team yet. 4-1, big win over the Chiefs. That's a really, really good defense. Right now, Devin Lloyd, it looks like the defensive player of the year. He had that 99-yard pick 6 early in the game that completely flipped everything, put that game on its head kind of. You're going down to Duval, right? And as you mentioned, that's not been a very good place for the Seahawks to go and play, even when they've had great teams. I kind of go back to what we said a couple weeks ago. It kind of feels like, man, you gave one away at home. You got to go get one you're not supposed to get on the road. Right. And that's kind of what I feel like you got to go do. The Jaguars just had arguably one of the biggest regular season wins in their franchise in the last couple of years. I know they made the playoffs a couple of years ago, but that was a big win for them tonight. That validated some of their belief, validated this new coaching staff. Travis Hunter looked really good. I know he got hurt late in that game, but it kind of not validated the massive trade up for him, but it kind of was like, see, we know what we're doing with Travis Hunter type of a thing. And so if you can go into Duval and you have, road warrior Mike McDonald, and you can pull out that win, it eases the blow of losing at home to the Buccaneers. And then you come home Monday Night Football against another very, very good defense and an offense that, other than their demolishment of the Maryland Terrapins on Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens, what's left of them, that is another big-time matchup where you're going against a team that has struggled to score a lot, but has a Super Bowl or division championship level defense. That's another opportunity in primetime at home with the crowd to kind of get right. And if you can pull off those 2 games, you're 5-2, and I think you're right back. You're probably still nipping on the 49ers' heels. You'd at least be tied with the Rams before you get ready for bye week and the Washington Commanders. I think you got to go get those 2 games. You got to figure out a way. You gave 2 up. Now you got to go get 2. And I know it's AFC teams, not NFC teams, but still go take care of business. I think getting Jacksonville with a short day's rest that they have to do and just everything they went through tonight, it might be your best chance of going in there and getting that win.
Yeah, it won't be easy. So when you look at that Jacksonville game, yeah, when you look at that Jacksonville game, what matchup worries you the most right now?
Well, against the wide receivers at this point, if I don't have Spoon, if I don't have Love, if I don't have Woolen, then I think you're literally looking at the same exact game as you saw on Sunday, where it's we just need Sam in this offense to score 35 points and hope we get the ball last, right? That's kind of where I'm at. But if you can get Tank back, if you can get 1 or 2 out of Woolen, Love, and Spoon back, maybe I feel like there's a better chance. And you hope that Trevor Lawrence, who always turns the ball over, you get one of those plays. And that's what you're kind of hoping for, in my opinion. Again, I think Mookie even brought it up. He might have been the one that tweeted it out. It's been since week 1 against the Broncos at home that the Seahawks have won the turnover battle at home. That has not been an issue on the road. So you need to go on the road. You need to force a few turnovers, and then you need to probably score 31 points again, and that will probably get the job done. But again, that's a lot to ask for against a Jaguars defense that has been very good so far.
All right, in our last segment here, before we just take some more of these questions and comments from the 12's Blitz Q&A session, but Mike, what is your biggest positive takeaway from this loss?
That the offense looks elite. Like, I think at best we were hoping for a top 12 offense. I think at best this could be a top 4, top 5 offense. And I think the biggest picture is just as a franchise as a whole is that Sam Darnold is making us have conversations that we didn't think we were probably ever going to have. And if we did, it was probably more of like going to be in that realm of maybe a little bit better than Geno has been the last couple of years. It's kind of, I think, what we were hoping for. Right now, it's literally beyond what our I would say even some of our most like optimistic dreams. It's even better than that. And so minus him not being good in the crunch time. But like, no, like other than that thought process, like he's been nearly perfect. And that is, again, like I said, that opens so many doors and creates so many opportunities and so much hope and belief in the fan base, in the building, on that team, in that huddle, that we have someone that, like, the way he's playing right now, I can see him lifting up a Lombardi trophy in the near future. And that's exciting.
So for me, my biggest positive takeaway is the interior of that offensive line held up against 2 high-level NFL defensive tackles in Vita Vea and Greg Gaines. Like, we actually were able to run the ball. We could move the ball. We weren't getting blown back. Our pocket didn't collapse around Sam very often. Like, that was a big positive for me because it was like, okay, we're playing, like, not against Cam Hayward, not against old Calais Campbell. You're playing against a guy that is still one of the top interior defensive linemen in the NFL and is going to put you through it all 4 quarters. And Sundell, Zabel, and Bradford all stood up. I don't get the PFF grades. Were bad for them. And I'm thinking, like, I did not hear Vita Vea's name at all. Like, in that game where I was like, oh, man, Vita Vea is wrecking our game right now. Like, we ran the ball. We saw it. Ken Walker, 10 carries, 86 yards. That's 8.6. You can do that math real easy. Like, that's a good day at the office for any running back. Sam was kept clean, no sacks. So, positive takeaway, the offensive line is continually, when healthy, getting better, which is an awesome. So, here's the last question I'll ask you in this segment, Mike, and I want you to finish the sentence. If the Seahawks stay healthy, they can what?
Win the NFC West. I think that's where I want to go right now. I'd like to go further and say they can make it to the NFC Championship game, but I think right now, like, the next step of this team's evolution is to overcome the 49ers and the Rams and to win the NFC West, right? Like, it's kind of like the Mariners. They had to overcome the Houston Astros. And yes, the Astros didn't have the year they probably thought they were going to have, but you still had to mentally and then actually physically, literally do it. And they did. And I think that's the next step. And we'll see what that leads to for the Mariners this week, if that leads to, one and done in the playoffs or a world championship, right? We'll find out. But for the Seahawks, that makes sense as like the next step of the evolution is, there's players on this team that have played in a wild card game, right? Yes, there's been some roster turnover, but the next step is if this team can stay healthy, you should win the NFC West. And even with that loss, you're still 1 game behind the 49ers, and you have a chance to match them in week 18 down the road if you both win out, which I both know is not going to happen for either squad. And right now you're even with the Rams, and you haven't seen them yet. And those are games that are looming in a month from now, and it's going to be fascinating to see those battles. While thankfully the Arizona Cardinals are doing what they do best, it feels like it's going to be a 3-team race for the NFC West, and that's where I think that should be where all fans kind of should be about right now is go get a banner is kind of where I'm at. What about you?
So I'm in the same spot. If the Seahawks can stay healthy, they can win the NFC West. That's where I'm. Yeah. That's my finish of the same statement. Like, if they can stay healthy, I don't see a reason why they can't win the NFC West. That is, and you know what? Like, I still think they can go 13-4. Yes, they have two losses already, but I still think they can go 13-4. I know John's asking if I was still on the island at some point in the show tonight in the chat. I saw that. Yes, I am still on the island, John. I'm still hanging out with you over there. I still think they can do it. It's just, it's going to take some of these guys that are depth guys to actually have some good games and play. And it's going to take them getting healthy and hoping none of these injuries are substantial enough that it's going to derail that. But let's get a couple more of these questions in here, Mike. We've been at this for almost an hour and a half here, so we'll get a couple more of these that are starred and in the chat. So Islam comes in with two big things: holding the Seahawks defense back from being elite, a game-wrecking pass rusher, and another quality linebacker next to Ernest Jones. Also, as flawed as Reek is, we have to keep him for the season. I think all of that's true. I think all of that is true. I think that's exactly that. I don't know if you're going to get that game-wrecking pass rusher in a trade, but it's something, you know, for me, like I've said on my draft board I've got here, the top two priorities: edge rusher, right guard. It's still that are the two things for me. Like, I don't see quarterback as a need. I think corner's another high need up there. So is inside linebacker, but we know we can get guys in the mid rounds with those. But my first two picks are looking at right guard and interior pass rusher. So
for sure,
that's where my head's at. I'm not sure what you were talking about on this one, Kay. Soon saying need to clean house and make some trades. I don't think that's the right way to go with this. Ian Victor, Boy Mafe is going to be under a microscope now with Hall out. 100% agree.
Yep.
Totally agree. Brian Myers, make a play for Bradley Chubb. We kind of talked that through. I think Thibodeau is probably more inclined as an option just because of the youth you get with him and the potential higher up ceiling. This is a good one from John. K9 balling out. Imagine how much better he could be with Oots healthy. Yes, the Robbie Oots factor will be interesting when he comes back with K9 starting to figure it out now. Because again, K9
for sure.
Jump around a bunch in this game. He hit the hole and went north-south.
I'd be curious to see how many of his runs were in 12 personnel versus like 11 and stuff. It feels like when we're in 12, and again, I still think when Oots comes back and just adds another layer to this offense, that could be good. But right now, our tight ends are doing a fantastic job with our tackles that are doing a fantastic job. They're sealing that edge and allowing him the space to get around that corner and take those 4-yard turns and have that home run ability to go and turn that into a 14-yard run.
Yeah. So, John, I answered it. Yes, I am still on 13-4 island with you, buddy. Until they lose game 5, I'm still on that island. Then I'll just say I'm on 12-5 island. Our island just got a little smaller. WD Ford comes in with Mike needs to scheme up some blitzes when the rush isn't getting home. Is it pride? Why make the backups cover for 7 to 8 seconds?
It's not even that long before the guys were open on Sunday, I guess would be kind of my point. You got to remember you're going against one of the best left tackles in football, and you're going against one of the best quarterbacks in football as well. Like there's certain factors, but hey, I think I even tweeted it out, and about 4 plays later, the Seahawks did it. I said the Seahawks needed to make Mike needed to scheme something up to get a blitz, and he did, but you can't blitz every single play, right? Like that's not who Mike has ever been. That's not who he's going to be with this roster. Like, again, I think you almost kind of have to make it work, and then there's going to be certain opportunities where you get that play, and he made it work on that one, and one other time they blitzed and it backfired.
Agreed. Mookie comes in with tough loss from Mahomes, but I didn't realize he was on Seahawks Aftermath this quickly after the game. Well done, Mookie.
What am I the white Mahomes? Is that
I guess at this point that's what I've seen a lot of people kind of pull that reference in the chat. Mookie goes, I don't think Seattle trades for Hendrickson or any pass rusher, but I do believe they vastly revamp the edge group next year. I think off this edge group that's staying will be Lawrence and Hall right now. And if Chenna keeps playing well, they may bring Chenna back on a more team-friendly deal, kind of like what he's got already on this year, and maybe do like kind of one of those veteran, little spiced-up veteran market kind of one-year deals, but I don't think Boy Mafe is on this roster. Brian Myers, Cup's blocking was huge. He was so good blocking.
So was Bobo's.
Yesterday. Yep.
Negatively. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. Ian Victor, what's the decision on Peely? I think he had his third elevation, or if they want to bring up Brandon Peely again, he'll have to come up on the 53. He is out of practice squad elevation, so I wonder if they put someone on IR potentially to bring him up.
Open room, yeah.
Open room that way rather than cutting somebody. I wonder if that's how they go about it and do it. Let's see, what else do we got in here? Let's go. Oh, David, tough 3 days for Philly fans. Here's to more pain for New York fans tomorrow. Daddy Dennis, why am I so afraid of the Jags? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, they're very good defense right now.
Like, let's see, what else do we got in here? I'm just looking. John McGrath, D-end, right guard, linebacker, and another D-end. Yep, in the draft.
I will say, if you're looking for linebackers, this is a down draft, but a good draft for linebackers. And I definitely think you're going to see Mike McDonald go off in the draft next year for linebackers.
Here's the interesting thing. If this weak side linebacker pairing they've got currently right now still continues to kind of struggle, do you think they elevate Chris Paul for a game once he's more comfortable with it?
At the way Knight and Thomas are playing, I think you have to consider all options right now.
Because they didn't like Thomas is good for specials, but Knight has looked nowhere near the player he was last year.
There's something not right. He has to be hurt.
Yeah. Whatever, or that undisclosed medical issue that he had towards the back end, like we never knew what that was. So, but I think like I liked Paul in the draft process. I thought he was actually a good fit for Seattle as a 4th or 5th round pick, kind of a linebacker. I think there's a point to be made. Like, do you start bringing him up and elevating him and seeing if he can't help out this linebacker group? So
why not?
Rampancy comes in when does Oots IR window open after the bye? Well, it's 4 weeks, I think, is the minimum. He's got to be on IR before they can bring him back. So he got hurt.
It'd be the
Saints game.
He'd be ready after the bye. So he'll get a 5th week,
he got hurt
right?
in the Saints game, so it'd be he's gone Cardinals game now. Yeah, he'd actually theoretically, after the bye, he'd be ready to come back off because he theoretically could come off the week of the Texans game.
Yeah,
he could come off it, but I don't think they will. They're going to wait till after the bye and bring him back after the bye.
Yeah. The Sunday night game at DC.
Let's see. What else do we got? Ian Victor should monitor Max Crosby. Not saying he'll want out, but from other Raider content creators saying in the vibes on the sidelines, it's not well, and it wouldn't be surprising.
That is such a massive trade. Yeah.
I feel so bad for Max Crosby. Like, I love that guy. I just hate that he's on the Raiders because I feel like he gets forgotten about in some aspects of the NFL. And I would love to see him traded. Well, I've heard things from people I know that are connected within that organization that him and Gino are clashing drastically. Like, he's kind of called out, from what I've heard, called out Gino on some of his leadership stuff and style and whatnot. And I don't know, man. On another completely off Seahawks, kind of off Seahawks, I wonder if Pete survives this season. If it doesn't get any better quick, I wonder if he's a one and done in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think it's more likely you see Pete and Gino are done and out of Las Vegas than I think you're going to see the Raiders trading Crosby. But Crosby could change that narrative if he demands out, right? And he says, you can fire Pete, you can get rid of Gino. I don't want to be in Las Vegas anymore. I'm sick of losing. That's the guy that you can talk about this winter as an all-in move, because that's the guy that's going to cost 2 first-round picks. That's a Micah Parsons type of guy. I know he's a little bit older and stuff, but like that's the guy that's your final chess piece to get you over the hump.
This is something we didn't talk about tonight, but this could be a huge factor in this group. If Riley Mills can be activated sooner rather than later and bring some interior pass rush to this group, it gets really interesting really quickly. Like, again, they could be holding out hope saying, hey, he's sooner to coming back. And maybe that's why they don't trade for somebody, because I think they get him back. And maybe Hall's injury isn't a hernia or a oblique injury that needs surgery.
Wow.
So, yeah. it'll be interesting to see kind of how they go with that whole thing. But you never know, man. They could make a call. John always says he's working the phones. They could call for, Crosby and see. But hey, Mike, we've been at this for over an hour now and a bit. What do you got coming up on field goals? What's your next article that's about to hit that people should be paying attention for?
Yeah, next thing should be 4-down territory, breaking down the game and kind of just looking at some of the takeaways from that. And then hopefully should start having maybe some college football stuff coming out here in a little bit. Again, exciting stuff. It's so weird to have a loss at home that we should all just be sick and tired of. And yet you kind of are like, man, that freaking sucks, but holy crap, we have something also at the same time. And
yeah.
I think this is a loss that will age really well when we probably end up going to Tampa Bay for a playoff game. That's kind of just where I'm kind of thinking of the mindset I think this team should have is man, I can't wait for us to see them again because we'll make it right this time. And that's probably going to be in the divisional round at the way things are going. Maybe it's the wild card, but it's just one of those things where in the past, I feel like last year, a loss like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sucks. That's going to cost us the season. This year, I'm more of the line of all right, now we'll go to Tampa Bay instead of Tampa Bay coming here. And I look forward to Sam getting revenge, that kind of mindset. But yeah, 4-down territory next, and hopefully some college football stuff.
As always, this show's on Field Goals, everyone, and Mike's over there at Field Goals with Mookie Alexander and the whole crew over there. They do awesome work, so make sure you go check out the website. It's got a bit of a facelift now, so it's a lot easier to maneuver around and looks pretty good. So make sure you check out all the cool articles and everything over there. On the Hawks side this week, I'll have the live preview show that I always do leading into the game. I'll have another Hawks film lab this week with Dan Viens of Seahawks Forever. We'll kind of digest that 99-yard drive that Sam orchestrated to go down the field. Some of the things we like, some of the things we maybe didn't like, kind of break that all down. And then we'll have a live post-game show and another Seahawks aftermath the following Monday after the Jags game. So make sure everyone's tuned in for that. And so if you guys haven't already, I can see that there's, almost 1,200 of you guys in here. If you haven't already, head on over, subscribe to the channel, click the notification button so you don't miss an episode. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything, helps me out. Go over to Spotify and, rate the show over there. Follow it over there for the audio versions. They're updated frequently over there as well. So make sure you guys can get all your Hawks Eye content over there. But outside of that, Mike, I think that's it for tonight. So with that being said, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.